Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with a blog to watch. Today I'm going to review the Victorinox Swiss Army Automatic. No, that's the name of the watch, Victorinox Swiss Army Automatic. I know in previous years that would actually describe a classification of watches, but now that's the name of this. It's been kind of complicated if you're a fan of Victorinox watches, as I am. They used to just be called the Swiss Army watch, then they became Victorinox watches, then people missed the Swiss Army name, and now they have a model called the Victorinox Swiss Army Automatic, which is kind of amusing. Victorinox obviously is the company that makes the pocket knife. That's where a lot of people know them, but they've been making wristwatches for a long time. I visited the factory in Switzerland. Very impressive stuff. I love what they do, especially for the money. And I think one of the coolest things about Victorinox is they're steel specialists. Actually, not just steel, but they work with steel a lot. So these cases are not just steel, but made by them in-house. And I think that's really cool that they do that. Not everything is made in-house. The movements are not made in-house. Things like the dials are used suppliers, but it's a very Swiss-made piece, even in the scheme of Swiss-made, where a lot of that can be from Asia. In fact, Victorinox watches are more Swiss-made than most Swiss-made watches. Anyhow, the Swiss Army Automatic is intended to be a closer to entry-level model. The entire company sort of shifted in that direction and sort of has this sweet spot from a few $100s to maybe about $2,000. This is really in the middle at just over $1,000. The Swiss Army Automatic is 42 millimeters wide in steel. This version comes on a mesh metal Milanese bracelet, quite legible dial. Inside the watch is a Swiss-made Sellita SW200 automatic movement. So let's look at some of the details here. Some things are great, some things not as great. Overall, the watch looks good with a couple of little quirks. For one thing, I think the hands, in addition to not needing to be skeletonized, even though they look okay that way, a bit polished. There's really nothing else polished on the dial, which is good, but the hands are a bit polished. Still very legible, but having a slight less of a polish is something that I would aim for in future versions. Also on the chapter ring, the sort of sloped ring around the dial, there's hour markers and there's little markers for, I guess, the seconds, but there's no minute markers. So there's all these markers on the dial, but there's no minute markers. And then on the bezel, which is a blue anodized aluminum insert, you have the minute markers, but at the hour positions and not further delineated by individual minutes. So it's sort of like teasing you. It's like, we didn't want to put minute markers, but we kind of wanted to put minute markers. Maybe I'm getting a little bit too nerdy with it. I just think that they could have had actual minute markers on there and called it a day without losing anything. Another thing which is missing, which I actually like on a lot of the Swiss Army watches, is a 24-hour indicator. That used to be a signature feature of a lot of Swiss Army watches. Is somewhere on the dial, usually on the inner dial, there was an additional ring of hour markers, not just from 1 to 12, but from 13 to 24, Swiss Army, Army time, and that was a big part of it. This one, being called the Swiss Army Automatic, missing that. Maybe I'm a traditionalist, but I'm missing that component. Also, this Milanese mesh metal bracelet is comfortable and nice looking. It has what I'll call sort of a more traditional style clasp, where you actually have to adjust this along the length, and then you have to clip one side over, and then you have another safety part on top of that. I'll call it somewhere in the middle in terms of sophistication. I do prefer these on a deployant clasp, but that adds additional layer of complexity. Also, getting them the right size is difficult. You can't just cut these. So there's a lot of sort of interesting engineering hurdles to having a Milanese bracelet, which is both cost-effective, practical. So that's the reason it doesn't have a traditional safety bracelet. But again, this watch is also available on a traditional strap. I'm not sure if there's other bracelets. There might be. Let's look at the back of the watch. And this is one of my favorite features of the more recent generation automatic watches from Victorinox is on the sapphire crystal, over a view of the movement, there's a little, I guess it's a printing of a Swiss Army knife. So you're looking through it, they're like, just as a reminder of what we're most known for, the Swiss Army knife. And I don't hate it. I kind of like that. So that's nice. As a sport watch, as I said, this is 42 millimeters wide, water resistant to 100 meters. So not one of their dive watches, but definitely capable for most sports stuff. And it's interesting, 100 meters without a screw down crown. So that's, I guess, a little bit better, some more robust gaskets. So once again, this is the Victorinox Swiss Army Automatic. This is the blue dial version on the steel Milanese style bracelet. Retail price is $1,075, and you can see the full review on the Blog to Watch website. Thank you.